Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychology of Cultural Diversity. My name is Kim Lucas, and I will be your professor for the next 6 weeks. So what I wanted to do is just briefly go over with you in this video announcement the course expectations, just review the syllabus briefly, and then take a look at the modules and point you in some directions that will assist you in succeeding in this course. First and foremost, I need to say that I will be putting out a video announcement at least once a week. And it's really to your benefit to watch the announcements because I'm not going to be typing announcements. I'm going to be giving information to you and communicating with you through these videos once a week at least. So please be sure to just take the 10 or 15 minutes and review. And I can tell you that the class that just finished up, some students did not take that opportunity and they chose not to watch the video announcements. So they missed out on some critical information pertaining to direction for assignments, maybe some pointers for the discussion. There was an opportunity for extra credit that was missed just because certain students did not take that 10 minutes a week to just listen to these video announcements. So I highly encourage you to do so, okay? So let's review. I have to tell you that this program that I use, the software that I use, only allows for 15 minutes. So the messages will never be longer than that. But with that said, I tend to talk really quickly. So bear with me through that process. So the syllabus, as you guys know, once you come into the module, the syllabus can be found under the syllabus section of the module. And this talks about the course description, the prerequisites that were required, and most importantly, the learning outcomes and the course competencies are listed here. You will see references to these in the rubrics when I'm grading. So you can take a look at the rubric and then you will see how the learning outcomes for the week tie into the syllabus outcomes for the class, okay? So that's where those numbers and letters come from right here. The textbook is absolutely required. I did have a student reach out to me and ask that question, and I can promise you that it is absolutely required. This is the book that you guys are going to be needing for the class, okay? And you really cannot get away with not having this book, I promise you, because the final exam in of itself and a couple of the assignments pull directly from the text, okay? So with that said, here is the information, the ISBN number and so forth, how the class is evaluated, how the grades are determined, and then the course outline. Now this is also going to be included in each module for the week, but I just wanted to show you that it is also in the syllabus. So please just take a minute to review on your own. The grading and so forth. The policies is something that I need to explain clearly to you guys so that there's no misunderstanding. You must participate in the first week of class. If you do not, that's considered missing your first class. If you were taking an on-campus class and you missed that class, you'd be dropped from the class. And it's the same for the online format. So you must participate this week. There's no exceptions to that rule. Late work policy. Now, Bay Path has a late work policy in place that if something should occur and you absolutely cannot turn your work in on time, you need to communicate that to your professor, and then the 4-day extension is granted, okay? But with that said, if something is turned in after that 4-day extension, meaning Wednesday night, that's the deadline, then chances are it won't be accepted unless there was a dire emergency, you were in the hospital or something of that nature, and that would have to be approved by me. And if you do submit between Sunday and Wednesday, it's an automatic 10% deduction of your grade. Okay, so again, from past experiences, I've seen A students turn in their work late, routinely, and their grade A goes down to a C just because they turn their work in late perpetually. So you don't want to get into that habit unless it's absolutely necessary, and always communicate the need to me. I would appreciate that. It helps with the grading process. The rest of this, I just want you to go through on your own. Because as I said, we do not have much time in this announcement. So the announcements, this is where I am going to be including all of my communications with you guys. So please periodically check this announcement section, and this is where the video announcements will be dropped, as well as any communication I need to make with the class. If you want to communicate with me privately, I would suggest that you use our inbox for the class versus emailing me through the BayPath email, the Gmail. Just do it right here because that keeps everything in the module and it helps to keep me organized too. And I promise I'll get back to you within 24 hours at the very latest. If you don't hear back from me in that time, please reach out to me again. That means for some reason I did not get your message, okay? So also, if you open up the messages, the announcements, and after you review, okay, if you want to comment, please do, okay? Just hit the reply button on the bottom and comment questions, comments, whatever the case, because if you have a question, chances are someone else in the class may have the exact same question. So that's why we, encourage that learning environment where we're all learning together, okay? So into the modules we go. This is the director's welcome. I'm assuming that you guys all looked at that. But what I want you to pay a little bit of attention to is the course resources, okay? Just review this very quickly, especially the did I plagiarize, because all of your assignments will be put through the VeriCite. And that's basically where it goes through this database and it's going to pull out any citation errors or plagiarism. Even if you have written a paper in the past and you're choosing to recycle it, that is highly discouraged, okay? But let's say you took this class before and you had to drop out for some reason, and now you want to submit some of the same work you submitted back then in the class that you took previously. Please reach out to me and let me know that before you submit it. Otherwise, it's going to come up as plagiarized, and that creates an issue in and of itself. The APA formatting guide is here. I will also be submitting some documentation to help you with the APA style because that is critical for you guys to have in this class. I'll go over that in a second because a huge part of your grade relates to the APA format, okay? So week one, this is where we're going to be talking about research. We're going to be talking about cross-cultural research. And it's just an introduction to the textbook, to the class. So please read chapters 1, 2, and 3. Okay, you're going to be reading the Introduction to Culture and Psychology, Cross-Cultural Research Methods, and Enculturalization. So those are the 3 chapters that you are required to read, and if you don't read them, it's evident in the discussion and the assignment, and I'll get to that in a second. The second thing that you're going to do after you read, please just go through these PowerPoint presentations because it's a summary of the chapters and it really helps to solidify what you've read. And it's going to help you carry forward that information to week 6 when you're taking the final. Okay, so the discussion, there's 2 parts to the discussion this week. You're going to write a paragraph or 2. Let me say this. Each discussion, your original post should be no less than 300 words. If it's less than 300 words, it's going to fall short in a couple of ways. One, thorough and thoughtfulness. It's hard to provide a deep insight if you're really stretching it out to that 300 word limit. And I want to see citations. You always have to cite the text, always. Cite and reference, very important because it's part of the rubric, okay? So we talk about how are the grades determined, right? So comprehension is where that plays a role. So let's say you do not put any research into your discussion. So you're not putting any citations from the text into your discussion. That is 0 right here. So you're losing 10 points right off the bat, okay? If you might put one little reference to the text, then I grade accordingly. What I require, and in order for you to get the 10 points, 3. 3 citations from the text is what I require, and I will give you full points in comprehension. The other point I'd like to make is your writing. So this is where the APA comes in. Please do not write your discussions like you're texting, okay? Lowercase I for I and so forth. Use proper grammar, proper English. Make sure you're proofing and make sure you're citing in APA format and referencing at the bottom, okay? Because again, that's where this falls into play. Timeliness. If you're late, you're going to lose grades accordingly. And participation. So if you are required to at least respond to 2 classmates, if you do and they are significant responses, you'll get the 10 points. If it's just a 2-line response, you're not going to get the 10 points. I'll grade accordingly. Okay, so be thoughtful and thorough in your responses to your classmates, because this is an online learning opportunity, but it's the same. I want you guys to picture that we're all sitting in a classroom together for 5 hours and having that back and forth discourse, okay? So very, very important. Please answer both parts of the question, okay? And make sure you're following all the prompts in the discussions and the assignments, okay? So getting into the assignment real quick, I don't want to run out of time, is the reflection paper. So again, you need to be in APA format, which includes a cover page. You do not have to include an abstract. I don't require that in this class. And I'm going to be uploading in a separate announcement a sample paper, very short and sweet sample paper for you guys to follow. Print it out and follow it and you will have no problems. But it has to be followed to a T. So what we're going to be talking about here is parenting styles. How were you raised, okay? And how will you plan to raise your children, or are you raising your children at this point in time? And talk about, past versus the present, and tie it all in together, and what you learned and what you agreed with and maybe what you disagreed with. What parenting style not only fits you best, but how you came to that conclusion. So again, you're just going to be following these prompts, okay? You're going to be choosing the parenting style, using APA format, and this paper should be no less than 2 to 3 pages in length, okay? Very important. And cite. Again, a minimum of 3 citations is required for full credit. And you will see the rubric right here. So again, including the research is here, your APA format. So between research and APA format is 40 points right off the bat. And I don't want you guys to leave points on the table, because what I often see is students do very well in these categories, the critical thinking, the comprehension. And then you get down to the research and APA and they blow it. So I don't want you guys to do that, okay? I'm here to help you get your best grade, and I will do anything that I can, but you guys need to work with me as well. Okay, so one more thing I wanted to talk about in the discussion, bear with me one second, and that is when you want to cite in the discussion, obviously I want you to cite from the text because that shows that you did the reading assignments. But if you also want to include outside resources, articles, websites that you want to link to, YouTube videos, TED Talks, whatever the case, that really helps to liven up the class, and it makes the classroom experience far more dynamic online. So I highly encourage that, okay? And if you are seeing that your classmates are struggling or they're not getting responses from other classmates, please help one another and help lift each other up in the process of learning, okay? So that's week 1. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me, reply to this announcement, or send me a message through the inbox here, and I will get back to you within the 24 hours. But please make sure you have your textbooks. My contact information is right here in the announcements, okay? I'm sure you guys have already seen that. This is my BayPath email, but again, I would prefer you use the inbox for the class. And this is my cell phone. You can text me, leave a message, and I will get back to you just as soon as I can. Okay, so that is it for now, guys. Thank you so much for joining this class, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you. Have a great rest of the day.